Good evening and morning to you. It's Back to You Friday, where we get back to your comments, Star Citizen, sci-fi, and other things in the industry. Let's get started, my friend. The Storm 357. The crew problem is something that's going to bite CIG in the arse. The pocket with the wallet specifically, as 4.0 rolls in and engineering makes most people suddenly unable to fly the ships they have spent their dollars on. No word on NPC crew other than it's something we would like to do at some point in the future. And not enough people in their crews that want to give up their own time and the ships they pay for themselves. Those big sales will naturally slump. Why upgrade to a ship that I can't fly? No way I am spending cash on a 4-person ship when I run with 3 people most of the time. I would advise CIG, for what it's worth, to make those NPC crew members a higher priority. Dig that. You know what? A lot of people buy ships based on having an NPC crew, which we will be having the NPC crews at some point in the future, but it's not going to be to the point that people expect, man. They're not going to be like humans, and you got to pay the people and you got to keep them happy. So it's going to be just about as hectic as running with a real squad, except you don't have to search and try and gather up people and get them together in Discord and herd cats and all that good stuff. You know, I get it that people want it right away, but you know, it's just not something possible right now. Have you seen the NPCs in the game? If you haven't seen the NPCs in the game, go try and get a drink from the bartender, or go get a soft drink from the vendor outside the hangars. I mean, the hangar elevators at Area 18. Then you're like, oh. But you got a point there where you said not enough people in their crews that want to give up their own time in the ships they paid for themselves. That's going to be a big thing, man. You know, everybody wants to be the captain of their own ship, and everybody in their mind is the captain of their own ship with other people running crew inside of their ships. And that's just not how it's going to work, man. People, like you said, people paid a lot of money for these ships. You know, I am the captain of this ship, however you said it. There's going to be people like me that do want a crew. A lot of people is going to want a crew, but not all the time, man. It just doesn't seem like there's going to be enough crew to go around to stuff everybody's ship up. Who needs a crew? All these Polarises that were sold, all these 890 jumps that's out there in the wild, all these Krakens that's going to be out in the wild, IDRISSes, Javelins. Who's crewing all this stuff? I see people are starting to mention this. This is something that this guy said to me a long time ago. Well, like 3 years or so ago. He said that we should have free to play. But if you are a free-to-play player, then you can only crew ships. You can't own any ships, fly any ships. You just crew, right? Which would be cool. I mean, if I wasn't into this game, that would be a great gateway joint to get into Star Citizen. As players, we could really use those guys. I mean, they're gonna be terrible at first just because they don't have all the experience that we have an experience in the context from the entire game, but you know, eventually some of those guys would be good, and then eventually they're gonna get in and then get their own ships and be looking for crew. It could be a never-ending loop, but I dig what you're saying. Clint S. I got the fatter pillar. They said that the Kraken will be easier to make after the Ironclad. To me, this means that the Ironclad might be on some sort of fast track. I have the Liberator, so this just makes that obsolete. The Liberator holds a lot less, has fewer defenses, and costs more. Why? Ironclad will probably drop before the Liberator. Cheaper, bigger, stronger, more exciting than the Liberator. Bye-bye, Lib. Man, I love the enthusiasm. But there's a lot of assumptions in there, man. They did say that the Kraken will be easier to make after the Ironclad. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe you're right, but I don't see that as that puts it on some sort of fast track. Right now they're doing all the RSI ships, and at some point they'll get to the Drake big ships. I don't know that this puts the fatter pillar ahead of any other ship by any means, except that it should be out before the Kraken. And hopefully that's the case. Well, I don't know. A lot of people be mad at that because people have been waiting on the Kraken for a long time. But the Kraken's a huge ship, man. It's super long. It's not that wide. It's got a narrow urethra. As far as it making the Liberator obsolete, I don't think so, my friend. You gotta take a look at it, man. And to help us out with this dude, Star Destroyer has made some really dope renderings that give us an idea to help us out a little bit here. So he made some renderings, and these are supposed to be to scale. I don't know if that's how accurate, but I mean, it looks pretty accurate just looking at the dimensions. And if you take a look at this here, these hold a Gladiator, right? The Gladiator sit in these really snug. So we got the Gladiator right here, man, and these are really snug as a bug in a rug in here, and you can get 2 of them in there. And the Gladiators are, I believe, around 22 meters. Gladiators are 21 meters wide, right? And then you can fit 2 of them on there. And then underneath that, it could put 3 vehicles, and then another one down on the forward ramp access, which I don't know if it'll be locked down if it's sitting on there. So looking at the Liberator, these don't look too far apart from the space that's going to be available in the Caterpillar. It looks like they could be about close to the same size, possibly a little wider. So this is another one of his renderings, putting 3 caterpillars together. If you look at this, it looks like anything around 2.5 caterpillar cargo bays wide could probably fit in the Caterpillar, right? So I took some caterpillars and stuck them together to see how big we're really talking. So I dropped down, got my eagle on, put a Cuddy Black over it. So this is about 2.5 the width of the caterpillar cargo bays wide, right? If I would have scooted this over so the left thruster lined up with the left edge of the caterpillar, that would have been about 2.5 of those wide. So it looks like it would fit it. It looks like it looking at it from here, but this isn't the greatest way to kind of measure this stuff. Obviously, if I would have scooted the Cuddy up to line it up exactly with the section up here for the caterpillar, it would go just over 2 section lengths, probably to about right here. Which if you look at it from here, there's 1 section, 2 section, halfway up the next one. It looks like it'll fit, assuming that it rolls back to at least the Drake logo, which is here. But then you look at it here, it is so confusing, man. We're gonna need some dimensions. We're about a few weeks away from them completing their Q&A. Everybody put their Q&A questions onto Spectrum, and they'll get to them in about a few weeks from now. So we got a little time to get some real answers on here. I don't know that size was any of the top questions on there, so hopefully they'll address that. I mean, you got to assume that it at least rolls up to here. If it stops right here, the Cuddy is not going to make it in here. But if it rolls back past the Drake logo, this whole square or rectangle, I know my shapes. If that rolls all the way back to here, then you may be in business lengthwise. Lengthwise, you will be in business. Widthwise, maybe just barely, but then I think they're going to have something in the way to prevent you from putting a Cuddy in there, because that would be a lot. It would be dope. I would love to have a Cuddy in there. That would definitely make this a sweet base of operations, because you could put a Cuddy in here, and then you could have the NERSA somewhere in the back over here. So you got everything you need to live, man. Get the Cuddy, go pick up some cargo, go pick up a few honey dips, I said honey dips, boy, the 90s called, they want their honey dips back. You can pick up whatever you can fit in a Cuddy, which is 46 SU of anything. You'd be living good, man. 46 tons of Schlitz malt liquor, some tequila slammers. But you know what? This is not the pocket carrier that I think a lot of people are envisioning. Even the big carrier, the biggest carrier, as far as carrying ships, it's not as big as the IDRISS. In some ways it is. I believe, actually, you know what? The Kraken is longer than the IDRISS, but it's not as wide. But as far as ships, it carries more, obviously. There's a lot of obviously's. Looking at the Kraken carries bucks on the side. The buck is smaller than the Gladiator, which is what the picture of the Liberator was carrying, right? So we got this pad over here that's carrying a Cuddy. So in order for the Liberator to be carrying a Cuddy like that square couldn't be bigger than this, which I think it is. It may not be as long, but then we're back to how far does this retract. So here we go. This square can fit a Cuddy. Is this square bigger than this, or this rectangle? I know my shapes. Is that bigger than this? I believe it is. I would love to put a Cuddy in there, but I just don't see it happening, man. But anyway, you could at least put a Gladiator in there. I'm sure that's gonna fit in there. So how much of a carrier is it if it just takes the one ship, just a Gladiator? Possibly squeeze a couple bucks in there. I don't know too many people that fly bucks. I don't see them very often. I saw one for the first time landed at an outpost, and that was the first time in ever. And so it's not just been 1 or 2 people that's been talking about this is the new pocket carrier. A lot of people have been talking about that, saying the same thing. Is it really though? So I'm thinking, depending on how far this goes back, which if it does go past the Drake logo, then that will put it back into the engines, possibly. It could just be these 3 sections, which are labeled 1, 2, and 3. That just might be it. And if that's the case, you might just get one Gladiator in there. Is that enough? Does that justify what you spent on it? I don't know. That's for you to say. I got one myself. I melted up some ships and put it toward this thing. And now I don't know. I don't know how I feel. But you know what? I'll be glad to check it out when it does drop, because it's one of the most interesting vehicles I've seen in a while. But I got a feeling it's gonna be a long time before we actually see it, man. So taking bets, man. This one gonna drop before the Liberator or vice versa? Got to stay hydrated in Vegas. This shot right here makes it look so much bigger than I think it's actually going to be. When you say it holds a lot less, I mean, this looks huge, but then I look at this and it doesn't seem like it holds less at all. So you got the 2 gladiators up top. Gladiators are smaller up top, and then something down here, plus 3 bays inside, 2 or 3 bays. That's 3 vehicle bays. The Drake might be cheaper, but I don't think it holds more. And what is the price difference on these? See, the Liberator is $575, quite a bit. And the Caterpillar is $450. So we're talking about $125 difference. If your only goal is to haul stuff, is at $125 more worth of hauling there? I think this might come to a taste thing, because it doesn't hold a ton more, but it does hold enough. Actually, it does hold a ton more. It holds quite a bit more in theory. I mean, we have to see some actual specs, but I think that a couple bucks might be the max of what the Caterpillar holds as far as ships. This can hold a couple gladiators and 3 or 4 vehicles. Winning. All right, I love talking about the Caterpillar, but we gotta move on, my friend. Hello, Kitty. I appreciate the nod dig. You got a location though, or a link? See, I messed up on here. I made a post. I made a post on my YouTube community tab, and it's about today's event, which I hope this video makes it before today's event. We shall see, my friend. The event is basically a gauntlet. You know, let me just pull up the post. Come run the gauntlet with some other citizens and maybe win some gift cards while you're at it. So some $25 gift cards are on the line. I didn't get a chance to go through all the details, but I believe it's basically you board a ship, run through a gauntlet, and you gotta locate a package, and you gotta tell my man Rico what's inside the package. So shout out them to Rico and SFC Demon for coming up with these events. This is a crazy one. I know we haven't done this one before at all. So if you want to have some fun with some other citizens, then here you are. 10 David, brother, this video is fire. Is there going to be updated one for 3.23? I'm a new player. Also, where can I catch a stream of yours? The vibe is amazing here. Appreciate you, David. Good looking out, man. Been a while since I streamed, but it would be here on YouTube. I don't do Twitch. Is there going to be an updated one for 3.23? Yeah. There is going to be one, but right now I haven't been focused on money making. Actually, I'm starting to dip my toes a little bit into money making, so I haven't really seen what all the ins and outs, just kind of experimenting stuff, because you got to do that stuff before you say this is how you make money, or else it's just kind of lying, huh? Which a lot of people don't have a problem doing. All right, so there that is. Soon TM. Frazzle Cat. See, this is why, although the game is pay to win, it doesn't bother me as much as you think. You'll need a static group or a huge org to properly crew many of these ships, let alone crewing them at the drop of a hat. That's true. A lot of people are going to have expensive digital paperweights. You know, I hate to say it, but I agree with that. A lot of people are buying these ships that they can't do nothing with, man. So many people bought the Polaris thinking that they're going to solo dolo that thing. And, you know, they're welcome to it, but it's going to be rough if anybody comes a knocking at your door. You can't solo those things and expect to do nothing except hand over the keys, man. As far as the game is pay to win, nah, I wouldn't say so, man. I'm trying to look at it objectively to figure out how someone could say that or feel like it is. And I can't really see it, especially when you can be in a big hammerhead and then get clobbered, just yapped by a much smaller ship that somebody bought for free out of the out of one of the ship dealerships in the game. There's that, meaning there's not any guarantees you're gonna win at all by buying a ship, especially if it's a ship that I could also be buying, you know, without spending real life money. I could spend credits on it. So there's no pay to win as far as making a purchase and winning. Then there's the fact of what is winning what? What are we winning here? There's going to be instances when someone has some cargo and someone's pirating them, but it's not going to be the more expensive pirate ship that's necessarily going to take them down. It's going to be the person with the most crew. And if you got a lot of crew and they got a lot of crew, well, whoever got the experience, the most experience and skillful crew is going to win. Your cargo being the thing that's going to be up for grabs for the win. But yeah, I don't see any pay to win. Feel free to disagree with that, but you know, I can have the same ship that you spent a few $100 on or $1,000 on. I can go, well, I haven't made enough credits yet because I haven't really been out there making money. But when I do, I can go out there and buy an 890 jump and have a yacht that looks every bit as good as your yacht that you spent $890 on. But you know, people have different feelings about that kind of thing. I just don't see it personally. I am Coffee Guru. And he's drinking a cup of coffee in the pic. Nice. The Kraken gameplay just got a whole lot more interesting. We need bigger landing pads. Yeah, I think so for sure, man. Because the Kraken is the one carrier and it's got these really small landing pads. Let's take a look at that again. Let's have a little look-see. Those landing pads seem very small, man. The most you can get on top is a couple cutties. It's not really taking your fleet anywhere unless your fleet consists of some dragonflies, small fighters, and, you know, a few cutties. The idea of it is dope, though. It looks like a conventional aircraft carrier had a baby with the Expanse. Joint is hot. Plus, it's a hell of a trader, too. So, yeah, I would agree with the landing pad things, man, because these can all carry a Buccaneer, right? Yeah, this is all Buccaneer territory. There's gonna be some other ships that you can squeeze on there, but the way they're angled and stuff, it ain't gonna be a ton of options to squeeze onto these landing pads. Templar Guardian. I think the lack of gameplay loop and also not finding good workaround doesn't really work anymore. What does that mean? I think the lack of gameplay loop and also not finding good workaround doesn't really work anymore. Good workaround. Not sure. We have a number of ships that don't have gameplay loops yet are still in game. We have workarounds in place. Supposedly the munching is a workaround for some ships. Okay, something like the Vulcan could easily use a tractor looking beams from a turret where the drones are supposed to be to rearm and resupply. Okay, so I see where he's going with this. I think peeps just want their ships and it continues to make it hard to make excuses for the devs. Well, I think people that say that others are making excuses for the devs not putting ships out just have a better understanding of how the pipeline works. And people that say that just how it works doesn't matter to them. They just want their ships, which I get. You know, some of these ships are super old. That's in reference to something I said on the last Back to You Friday about there's really no ship backlog. There's just ships that they can't put in the game yet because for tech reasons, for lack of gameplay specific to the ship, and a couple other reasons where they can't put Endeavor in. There's nothing for it to do except you can maybe fly it around and not be able to land it anywhere. The modules I'm sure those aren't even a twinkle in somebody's eye yet. So there's no reason to put some of these things in there. And a lot of people pointed fingers back to, well, there's games in there that don't have gameplay already, like the Herald, right? It's got data running gameplay that there's no data running. But those older ships like the Herald, those were put in before the ship vehicle team decided to stop putting in ships that have no gameplay in it. That's from a long time ago, man. They don't do that anymore. When's the last time they put a ship in that had no associated gameplay? They're saying something like the Vulcan could easily use a tractor looking beam from a turret where the drones are supposed to be able to rearm and resupply. They could, I mean, but why invent something that they have to change later just to put the Vulcan in when they could just work on another ship that makes more sense to put in? I get it. You know, you want your ship, man. I understand. I want my brand new merchant, man, but it's not the time, man. Oh, somebody says something specific about the merchant, man. That's one of the older ships. Y'all might know better than me on that because I didn't join till like when did I join? Like 2019-ish, something like that. So the merchantman was before my time. But anyway, that's not going to be on deck anytime soon just because they lost the personnel that were crucial to the merchantman project. So you got to take your smiles and cries, man, like on training day, man. Got to roll with it. It is what it is. Or sell them, I guess. The Malbino, it's an interesting name. If in December this game is still a Scheisse show, I will sell all my ships with 30% discount and uninstall. Well, you know what? That's a good thing, man. I think that there's a lot of people that are playing Star Citizen that can't really handle an alpha, which not everybody's built to play alpha games. I never thought I would have been. That sounds insane. It sounds like insanity. But now that I'm playing, I'm hooked. So the people that can't handle it, man, they should probably do that, man. Either put it away or sell your stuff or just not think about it, man. That sounds like a practice in frustration. I don't know why you would you keep coming back to it if it's killing you like that. You got an abusive relationship going on, man. You keep going back. I'm gonna call you Kareem. The reason why they make this new big ships is because it's easier to make a new one in accordance to the current tech they have instead of trying to figure out what to do with the old ships. They solved the modules issue on the whole sea, a new ship, and now they can apply to the Tally and all the other legacy ships that have modules. With the new ships, they will increase the design libraries of things like corridors, consoles, furniture, turrets, etc. that can be used to refurbish the older ships. This is what's happening with the RSI. Seems Drake is next. I don't think I have anything to add to that. That's somebody who understands how this stuff works, man. There's reasons, and this dude understands it and can articulate it a little bit better than I typically do. So salute to you. Carlton. Here's one for the backlog. Gold standard the Connie or reconcept them. You know what? I've been flying more Connie missions lately because of the NERSA, and the NERSA was, or all the URSAs period, are supposed to fit in the it seemed like they were made for the Connies to carry them around, and they're real snug in most of the Connies. But then I put one in the Connie Phoenix, and the Connie Phoenix, because it doesn't have the walkways on the sides of it, is much wider. It's much easier to put a NERSA in and get in and out of it with no problems compared to the regular to the other Connies. And so now I have to agree with you. Do something to the Connies. Gold standard, reconcept, whatever you need to do to get a little bit more room inside of the Connies, man, because the NERSAs is like the go-to things now. You go somewhere that might be a little dangerous on the ground, you gotta bring a NERSA with you. You go into a DC, gotta bring a NERSA with you. Go into a bunker, NERSA. Norky. The day the game locks respawn points to stations and large ships is that day multi-crew is going to take off. As for new ships, they blew all their millions on hiring movie stars for a game mode a small handful of people will play. The ship sales are what keeps them going, or those dumb enough to subscribe to their terrible subscription. This dude needs a hug. Where to start? As for new ships, they blew all their millions on hiring movie stars for a game mode. He called Squadron 42 a game mode. It's a separate single player game. Anyway, a small handful of people will play. Dude, that game is going to be big, man. Especially if it's going on consoles like it looks like it's going to be. As far as terrible subscription, maybe. I wouldn't call somebody dumb for it. Hell, I subscribe to it. I enjoy the subscriber items. I like having access to the subscriber store for stupid things that I like to have that some people don't, like my buddy, don't give a damn about, like the plants. Plants that you could put on your ship, or, you know, things like guns and armor and, you know, kind of craziness. Plus they got the ship of the month that you can have access to for that month, and then it changes to another ship. So there's some value there. But anyway, you just a little upset here, number, you know, I can't tell you how to feel about things, sir. So this guy made this huge Fallout overhaul, man, complete overhaul. And I saw the trailer for it. What was it, like yesterday or the day before? And it's gone. They took it down, man. He made this huge overhaul, man. 6 years in development. 6 years. It had a lifespan of a day before they took it down. And it was a Mass Effect theme. It was a complete Mass Effect overhaul. Kind of cool. Like they showed a gun and it had like the little holographic readout on the gun. Pretty tight. So he did a ton of work on it, and they took it down after a day on Nexus Mods. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be down very long, just because the problem was there were animations included in it that didn't have clearance from I guess BioWare or EA. I don't know, who knows. It was more than one entity because somebody has already said that they're gonna give the permission, and he just needs additional I don't know the you know, nitty gritty. I just want to know whether it's gonna be playable or not. I don't know if I'm gonna get it, because, you know, if it could be one of them things where it's like, all right, I seen it, that's about enough for me. But it looks very interesting. Shout out to that dude who made that, because 6 years of work, he overhauled it and it completely changed the game. There's going to be different lore in there. There's some Mass Effect love story characters in there. I like to see that, man. Just that's the cool thing about Fallout, man. They let people change, like just add and keep the game alive in so many different ways that a lot of developers just don't like at all. They don't like that, man. So many of these companies hate mods, which I understand, but the benefits gotta outweigh the drawbacks. The Fallout 4 is how old? That game has been out since, I don't know, 20 I don't know if we got into the teens yet. Maybe. I don't know, it might be like 2011 or something like that. But that's 13 years old, man. If people are showing love to your game with mods, and they're good, let it ride. I mean, if they're terrible, get those, you gotta get your takedown on and protect your product. But, they're good for your game. So Tron Ares has wrapped production, which is dope because I was a huge Tron Legacy fan, man. I watched that at least a couple times a year. The first Tron is man, it's a little too goofy, man. It's really goofy, the costumes and stuff, but I understand for the time when it was released, that was, pretty groundbreaking stuff. Tron Legacy was hot, man. So they wrapped production on it 2 weeks ago. Jeff Bridges is back as Kevin Flynn. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But how did that happen? The dude was explosively murdered in that. Well, not murdered, but explosively killed in that movie. It didn't look like a comfortable death with family around you. There was some family around him, but it didn't look very comfortable. But anyway, that's good to see him back. Kevin Flynn, Jeff Bridges is one of the GOATs, man. There's very few details about the movie, except Jared Leto is playing, I guess he's the protagonist, playing an AI that is sent on a dangerous mission to Earth to introduce AI beings to humans, who are probably not ready for that to be a thing. So that's about all we know, and that is targeted for 2025. I'm looking forward to seeing that. A lot of the actors said how dope the practical effects are, which is, that's not even the first thing you'd expect on a movie like Tron, which is all about big CG effects. And so that's dope that they put some practicals in there. They said this, like, the sets were so insane that, like, the actors would go just hang out at them when they weren't having to act, just because they were a sight to see. So I can't wait to see that. I mean, a lot of us are sci-fi nerds here. I'm sure some of y'all are ready to see that too. Another movie 28 years later is in production. If you guys seen that zombie movie back in the day, it was like I doubt that was Cillian Murphy's first movie, but it's like one of the ones that put him on the map. Super indie movie. It was 28 days later, right? And zombie flick. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Anyway, they made a sequel. It was 28 weeks later, and now they're doing 28 years later, which is crazy because everybody thought if they'd make a sequel, it would be 28 months later, especially since Cillian Murphy is older, but he's not that much older, 28 years older, right? But anyway, so it's him, Cillian Murphy, is Ray Fiennes, and Aaron Taylor Johnson, who I'm not that familiar with. I think he was in this movie with Brad Pitt on this train, which was a funny movie. I can't remember the name of it. It was a really good movie. Ray Fiennes is one of the most hilarious non-comedic actors. If you don't believe me, go check out Grand Budapest Hotel. Dude is insane. He's not trying to be funny, which is why it is hilarious, man. Great movie. We had to watch that in film school. But yeah, so I can't wait to see that. I haven't seen a good zombie joint. Well, I do like the Walking Dead series. That's over. Like, I seen like the main series, and then they got the spinoffs, but I think the spinoffs were just for a second. I don't think they're going any further, but we'll see. I hope so, man. Because we ain't get this, I ain't gonna spoil it for y'all. Big thanks everybody supporting the channel. I appreciate it. YouTube only pays gaming content creators a couple bucks for every 1,000 views, which is, that don't put a pot in every chicken in a car in every garage. So I appreciate your support. It means a lot. It helps keep the channel going. So big thanks to all my Patreons, YouTube members, and super chatters. Salute, fly dirty citizen.